Hello, welcome to Steel City Rings TikTok, and the game one is in the books. Steelers managed to hold on and win 18-10. Zach is in Atlanta. Zach, looked like a Steeler home game at the end of the game. There, tell us how it was inside the stadium.
It was electric. I don't think I've ever seen that much excitement from a game that was entirely comprised of field goals. So the best part of it was at the very end. We had a guy walking around in a Boswell jersey chanting MVP.
At least for today.
But I'll tell you what, if the defense looked dominant on TV in that in the end of that, it was even more dominant in person. I mean, it literally at some point it looked like no matter what Atlanta tried to do, TJ Watt was there. And then when he wasn't there, the second company Jackson stepped off. So overall, it was just, I mean, I knew the defense was going to step up. And actually, on my Total Apex thing, I said if Justin Fields plays, we should win 21-10. So it was only up by 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray, what'd you think?
Straight domination. I mean, from the defense, I love every minute of it. They put the pressure on Kirk Cousins. They got a few turnovers. On the other side of the ball, for the offense, it was well balanced. I mean, no turnovers. And of course, again, Justin Fields played a good game. To me, I believe they played a good match where they kept the defense off the field. They moved the change, which I love pretty much.
Now, the one thing I do have to say, this could end up being a costly win because Cameron Johnston was taken off on a cart. That injury, it looked nasty. I think it was a missed flag, 100%. But Cameron Johnston was a major part of pushing that game.
Yeah, it looked bad on TV. I can imagine it doesn't sound good that he was taken off on a cart. I mean, he looked like such a weapon, and now, it looks like we're going to be searching for a punter. Please, 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 not Presley Harvin.
Exactly.
But we'll see. I mean, he's one of the guys who'll be out there if we're going to be without Johnston for a week or two. Personally, what I was looking at was, I wouldn't say it was dominant from start to finish for the defense, but the second half was pretty much what we thought we might see from this defense all game long. They had that, touchdown drive they gave up, although it was a little bit dubious with that, with negating the strip sack. Pickens ended up, the targets were good, the receptions were good. The second half of the fourth quarter, they really shied away from throwing the ball. Although I would have liked to have 15-10 instead of running Najee with about 4 minutes to go. Let's go play action there and go down the field because Fields was taking care of the ball. He was pretty effective. Now, that being said, the real question is, did Fields do enough to hold on to the job? Personally, I think he did because even those 6 field goals are going to be 2 touchdowns and 3 or 4 field goals next week. I like the dimension he added. It's a dimension Russell Wilson can't give. And I don't know that you put Russell Wilson in, he throws for very many more yards than Pickens did or than Fields did. And I obviously he wouldn't gain 50+ yards rushing. And I thought Fields was very smart with his legs the second half of the fourth quarter. Hey, I'm not going to take a risk. I'm just going to keep that clock going and run the ball.
And that exactly what you said is a reason why going forward it could be Fields and not Wilson. Because I know me and Bob were talking about it at halftime, and it continued. The defense had to take notice of where Fields was. They just didn't have a choice. So I mean, when I go back, a lot of the RPOs that they tried, weren't successful right off the bat. But it's a new offense. So a big thing I want all the Steelers fans to understand is we didn't just beat the Falcons today. We beat the Reds. That was a terrible officiating. I mean, from every perspective you look at it, from the missed roughing on Jamer Johnson, which should have been obvious, and it seemed time looked right with the flags to the, I don't know if it came through on TV, but there was a lot of just random delays where the refs weren't really sure what was going on. They didn't know what number to call. There was a lot. So there was so much confusion on that part that, number one, TJ was dominant, but should have been like much better on the stat sheet, and that was taken away. The George Pickens catch, all that. So we overcame that, and I legitimately don't think last season, if we would have had if we would have played this kind of a game, if we could have pulled it off.
Yeah, you know, I thought that Pickens catch down in Falcons territory, I thought that was a BS call for the simple fact that they called down by contact. I'm thinking, unless I blink my eye, I didn't see the contact. You know, with a defender touch Pickens when he was down. So,
they're very liberal with that, with the down by contact. So if there was any contact when he was catching the ball and then he goes to the ground, they're going to give that. And unfortunately, that's not. But from the defensive perspective, I want to go back to them for a minute because we talked about this in our season preview. And Ray, I know you thought, well, they'll get more sacks. They won't get as many interceptions. I think you really saw in this game, especially at the end with the interception for Dante Jackson, the pressure was so ridiculous on Cousins, he just threw it up. He just threw it up, and Dante Jackson had an easy pick. Steelers probably should have had 4 picks, but 2 is a nice start. So I'm feeling pretty good about the over on the interception number.
We're losing them, guys. You absolutely should. There was just so much to like about the defense, and what happened is, I think right off the bat, the defensive line, I don't know if they expected it to be easier than it was or something, but they needed to collect themselves after what looked like an ineffective first couple of drives on defense. But when they got themselves together, you could see the front seven that we were all really hoping for, because it wasn't just getting pressure. And I haven't used this in a long time. We were collapsing every single pocket. It wasn't, he was scared. So, and to make matters worse, by that time, it had gone from a Steelers home game to a game that might as well not have any Falcon fans at.
Yeah. I was really surprised they didn't play Renegade.
Well, actually, that's the terrible towel flag I broke in today. I have a specific Renegade terrible towel flag, and that's the one that I broke in. So it was really good. But another big positive to take away from this game is when you have a week 1 opener that shows that your defense is as good or better than you hoping it was going to be. And I'm not saying Cameron Johnson, if he's out, is going to be anything small. But if that's the only thing we walk away from here as far as an injury, I might be okay with that. I still would prefer it not to happen, but there's so many other games where I've seen, like last year or the year where it was Ben, where his elbow and all that, where early in the season we've lost people. I like winning a game like this and then feeling like we're still healthy moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see what happens during the week. I mean, I thought Peyton Wilson played a lot more than I expected him to play. And he looked good for the most part doing it. So there's a lot of positive from an offensive standpoint. I mean, it was only 18 points, but it was a different 18 points. There was some creative play calling. There was down the field strikes. I think it's just bad luck. We kind of didn't score on that one drive. Personally, I would have liked to have seen a timeout or huddle up on that play. I think the fact that we rushed it, and I chalked that up to coaching. Yeah, you got – as soon as that looked confused and you see the lineman confused, it could have been a timeout. And Tomlin and Arthur Smith, somebody should have said, hey, stop.
And something that improved from the start of the game to the end that really initially had me worried was the communication on defense. In the first quarter, I saw a lot of what I saw last time, which is guys kind of running around, kind of asking what people's assignments were, people looking a little frustrated, and that stopped very quickly. I want to say maybe for the last 2.5 quarters, the secondary looked like they were on the same page. And that's really early for a secondary that a lot of us had issues with to come together like they did, because I think the secondary wanted to prove a point today, and Kirk Cousins did nothing. So it was the pass rush, but do not discount that this secondary all came in with chips on their shoulder and wanted to show that the front seven isn't the only part of the defense that's impressive.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just agreeing.
Yeah, again, this is a 180 of what we've seen in the preseason. We were all worried about what we were going to see out of the Steelers this season. And of course, today, again, they clicked on all cylinders.
I don't think you can say they clicked on all cylinders. I mean, it was a win. It was better.
But Bob, Bob, it's a start. It's week one.
That's not clicking on all cylinders. That's progress. Clicking on all cylinders. That's him.
You want to argue? That's fine. Okay, we'll argue.
Now, George Pickens looked every bit as dominant as he did in the preseason. So it was, I think, as we get more comfortable in this offense and we don't have to constantly have 2nd and 20s and 3rd and 18s and 2nd and 15s, and then I think we're going to see electric numbers from George Pickens, because it was a man amongst boys out there. Even when Pickens just had everyone's number. And you could tell that, I think for the first time in a while, he was really enjoying himself out there. So, and he wasn't getting the best. The passing game wasn't the best. It was an okay passing game. But I think he can feel the difference, like you were talking about, Bob. It's a different 18 points. It's not a Matt Canada 18 points. And Ray, you'll like this. After that one George Pickens weird end around, we didn't see that play again. That got tossed out, and he's like, nope, Pickens can't do that because he's going to do a weird half flop thing in the air and hurt himself. Which, by the way, is going to be everywhere on ESPN, that weird little hop thing that he did. So, but it's different. So it feels good. So, and there's so many happy Steelers fans.
Yeah, kind of jailed because I have to believe he was hurting, because I think Cordarrelle Patterson played a lot more than what we would have expected. I mean, Jalen did play, but he certainly did. That wasn't a tandem out there.
Oh, no, I think this was definitely Najee's game with Cordarrelle Patterson spelling and Warren on a pitch count. So what you saw, I think they were like, listen, if we use you, maybe you will get 5 times. So, and Warren made the most of it like Warren does, but I think he was not at 100%. And to the credit of a conditioning and coaching staff that we've been on since training camp about how they've dealt with injuries, they seem to handle things pretty well as far as what they're required. So, because I was expecting to see massive holes all over the place when it came to a nickel defense, and I'm going to have to go back and look to see exactly why, because I'm not going to say it right now where Ray will just get way too happy that it was all Beanie Bishop. But something was different that made that nickel defense effective when it was kind of a liability earlier. And did you guys see what may have caused that?
To me, it was the pressure. He didn't have time to get to the third base. He probably should have been. You would think Kirk Cousins in the experience would have picked on the nickelback, but he didn't. It seemed like he was looking for London and Peds. And then, maybe this comes into Darnell Mooney and Ray McLeod being their third option, or second and third option receiver. That's just not going to be good enough.
If not, and I told Bob at halftime that I really liked the little flash that I saw from Calvin Austin. I guess Calvin Austin heard me or was listening to the podcast at halftime, because I haven't seen that kind of consistent positive game on special teams in a long time. And it was consistent, like even the ones where it didn't really game a lot, you could see what the game was trying to get on.
Yep. Somebody's blasting the music. We can't hear you.
We are walking through the tailgating area, so we'll be able to hear it. There you go. Yep. Well, I'd like to shout out my wife, honey, for guiding me through this, so I don't have to pay attention to people. I'm literally being guided by the arm through the crowds of people, so I can podcast.
Okay.
There you go. Well,
is that the wife right there?
Yep.
Is that wife right there?
That is. That's beside me. So. Yeah, but
she's doing a great job of security.
Yeah,
she is. So what I really enjoyed is that the detrimental areas that we were kind of worried about, like we were talking about nickel, the wide receiver depth and all that, it didn't come back to bite us. It didn't help us. Like we didn't see any major wide receiver contributions to anybody that we didn't expect to see. But we didn't see like a major detriment or the offense suffering because of the wide receiver area. I didn't like the way he used Briones as much as I thought. But yet again, I think that's going to come from being able to use the middle of the field and a little more comfortability in the offense. Because I think Justin Fields, as much as he was prepared for it, there's still something about being told that morning that you're going to start, in compared to having a week of a mindset. So if I was Mike Tomlin right now, judging based on the attitude of the team and the way this all went down, I would be really hesitant to mess with this at all, and that means the quarterback position.
Yeah, especially because, heading into Denver next week, secondary's pretty stout. The run defense isn't quite as good, so I think having to account for Fields rather than sit back, I think they'll be so jacked up to play Russell Wilson that it's probably worth holding him for the amount of injury.
I definitely
going back to him at all.
Now, I was looking, and yet again, I'm going to go back and I'll watch the tape to see, but I didn't see Dan Moore being a liability. I didn't see anything that was like, wow, that was a great. But if you saw something, feel free to point it out.
Watch the tape. He got Judon beat him like a drum.
Okay, no, that's a good correction because I only have one set of eyes. So, but no, that's good to know.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, the sacks they got on Field were off of blitzes a lot of times, but Judon had pretty consistent pressure and was beating Moore. Fields just wasn't there on the spot. If that had been Russell Wilson, Judon probably would have had 3 sacks.
Yeah.
Now there was 1 or 2 spots late in the game where the Falcons knew the Steelers were going to pass, had a full-on pass rush, and it was a beautiful pocket. There was only a couple times. Most of the time it was iffy here or there, but there were a couple times that kind of gave me hope that, like, okay, if you take the Moore out, I put a Faccano in here, this is going to look really, really good because that line, because as Bob is, I'm not doubting him at all, if we played really, really well in spite of Dan Moore Jr., then that is all the more exciting whenever we're going to get fully healthy.
And it seemed like all the really productive runs, Darnell Washington was involved. There were a couple nice little up the middle. We're getting drowned out by the party.
I'm still here. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. So, hey, look, we'll rewatch the game and we'll look at it a little closer. And tomorrow night, when we go live to do the post game reaction, well, I'm sure we'll go into a lot more detail. But you just gotta love the fact Cincinnati lost, Baltimore lost. Hopefully, Dallas can complete the trifecta. And Cleveland and we're in first place alone after 1 week.
Right.
I really hope so. All I'll say to finish it off is that no one should have any reason to feel like this wasn't an excellent win. Considering everything would have been great if we had like 30 points, yeah, but it was a different 18 points. And if you can't recognize that this is a different team already, I suggest that you go back to Football 101 for just a second.
Yeah.
Because it is drastically different, and I'm excited for that.
They are so energetic now. They feel just so, motivated this year, which is good. I love every second of it. And again, can't wait till next week.
It's a good win, not a great win. It's definitely something positive. something to build on. The offense could really develop into a nice complementary piece for the defense, which would all be really neat.
And we're going from one end of the spectrum to the other. We played Kirk Cousins, and now we're going to play a rookie.
Bo Nix, yeah.
So I'm excited to see how it goes. But yeah, I'll definitely break it down in more detail whenever we hit our full recap tomorrow.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit notifications. We'll be live at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Steelers are 1-0. First place is guaranteed for 1 week.
Exactly.
Much better than that.
We'll see you guys tomorrow, where we talk a little bit more about the day and look ahead to next.